now into the auxiliary gate.
You're listening to the Auxiliary Gate Podcast, Kentucky's weekly horse racing discussion. And now, here are your hosts, Alan Schneider, Geoff Riggs, and me, CC Broaddus. Welcome, everyone. This is episode number 222 of the Auxiliary Gate Podcast for October 1st, 2025. I'm CC Broaddus, joined by Alan Schneider. Welcome, Alan, as always.
Yes, what's up? Triple deuces on the podcast. Amazing, isn't it?
That is indeed. Also here is the bearded wonder, Geoff Riggs.
Yes, sir. What's going on, guys? Good to be back. I'm coming around. I've been sick the past few days. I've been out of commission for a few days, so it's good to be feeling better. Back with you guys. All's right in the world.
Now this is we've already christened 2025 as the year of the beard. Geoff Riggs going wild parimutually. Understand you also want a fantasy football league.
Baseball, but yeah, so it was with some Churchill people and shout out Dan Christofek. I know a lot of people listening probably know Joe Christofek from Churchill, but his brother Dan is he produces the broadcast at Churchill, and he does a great job and sharp guy. And we had a battle longer than 6 months. We were first and second in the league basically the whole year, and it came down to 6.3 points. And at the very end, season-long points, we both had over 6,000 points, and it came down to 6.3. So it came down to the very last game on the very last day to decide it.
I mean, that was a kind of a foregone conclusion you were going to win. It seems.
I don't know about that, but I'll definitely take it 100%.
That's just the order of the universe right now. So. All right, let's see what we want to talk about. Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny is going to do the Super Bowl halftime show. The question I want to pose to you guys: who the hell is Bad Bunny?
So
I'm obviously I'm old now, and they don't target me when they make these decisions. I've never heard of Bad Bunny in my life.
I know I do have two younger daughters, even though they don't really listen to him, right? And of course, he was the caddy in the Happy Gilmore sequel, which I didn't know until after the film. I had no idea. But am I going to sit and pretend that?
Wait, is that true?
Yeah, he was the caddy in Happy Gilmore too.
Interesting. I still haven't seen that. That's interesting.
It's worth watching. It's a little silly, but
the second one, not the first one.
The second one, yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm not going to sit and pretend I'm thrilled about that, but I know that's just the way it is and stuff these days. But no, if you let me pick it. If you let me pick the halftime show, that would be interesting, but it'd also be pretty predictable and stuff too. But yeah, that's what the bathroom's for when I go to the bar and stuff. I go to the bar and maybe go outside and get some wind sprints in while that's going on.
Well, I heard Metallica was a possibility, so that might have been more your alley, Alan.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that goes without saying. You're younger. Did you know who it was?
I know who he is. I know some of his songs. I'm not like a super fan or anything. I would have also rather other options, which probably means that I'm starting to get old as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Whatever.
I just don't care about the halftime show. Never have. I'd never have, even younger. It was just something that got in the way of watching the game.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, because when we was younger, it was up with people and shit like that. The Super Bowl has not become the Super Bowl up until the 60s and 70s. It wasn't that big a deal. It was a big deal, but it's nothing become as the more way it's marketed now and stuff. So that's only believe it or not, that's only a fairly recent development, maybe the last 25 years or so. Super Bowl was big in the 80s, but as far as becoming the global entity that it is now with all the extra hype, that's still relatively in the past 25 years.
Okay, big news locally. It was announced today there will be 3 new stakes races at Turfway Park in December. on
There we go.
Saturdays. Yeah, good news there. And maiden special weight purses will be raised from, I believe, 80,000 up to $90,000. That's where your maiden races start. So, going to be another lucrative meet at the Winter Olympics in Florence.
Winter Olympics, I like that. Got to figure out who's going
Like
to be
that too.
replacing. Got to figure out who's going to be replacing Caitlin. Caitlin will be on a little pregnancy sabbatical then, so interesting to see what they come up with or whatever. Be a hard act to follow.
Also returning is the Turfway Park Synthetic Championships, which was
Oh
pretty
yeah,
cool. It's
yeah.
just reading an article. Gary Palmisano said that handle was up by 2.5 times what it normally was for that date. So
Wow.
Wow.
yeah, so yeah, we'll see that. We'll see that come back around. So yeah, you know, the racing action just doesn't necessarily end when Churchill shuts its doors for the year. So yeah, got that going on. Giant weekend at Keeneland coming up, of course. Fall Stars weekend. You guys had a chance to look at the cards by any chance?
Briefly, I looked more at Friday. I just saw the entries for Saturday. Geoff just told me blackout time is a ridiculous 10 to 1 in the morning line in the that's the Breeders' Futurity, right?
Yes.
That's if you've seen blackout time break is made, and there's no way that happens. What 3 to 1? I know there's a monster in there, but blackout time might be a monster. Regardless of who wins or who doesn't win, 10 to 1's insane. So I've looked at that
Yeah,
horse.
I'm excited to bet blackout time in that race because I was there that day at Ellis when he broke his maiden. Most impressive winner of the meet probably. Ted Nafi is obviously a deserving favorite. Is I think 4 to 5 on the morning line. Probably will be that. Maybe 3 to 5. So we might get a playable price on blackout time. It'll be one of those that maybe looks like an underlay off the morning line. But I mean, if I got 4 to 1 on blackout time, I'd be ecstatic.
Yeah, another horse runs that day too, right? Named someone Doncho or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
like Boncho or something, right?
Mhm.
Don Joe entered in the Woodford Stakes. Kind of surprised that race came up with just nine. Usually that's a full field, but you get Joe Shiesty, and their world record is entered actually to run Friday in the Phoenix.
That's where I would
So
guess he would go. I'm assuming he's going to go on Friday.
can't imagine. But the horse does have a little turf pedigree on his dam side, so they may try this turf race. But
As I said earlier to you guys, I may have mentioned it's like if world record goes on Saturday, the horse world record will run against a horse with a world record in Doncho.
it's interesting.
Hmm.
Very
Yeah.
ironic how things fall into place.
Hmm.
Another horse I think with a lousy morning line is in race 10, the Keeneland Turf, or excuse me, now it's the Coolmore Turf Mile. Number 4, Diego Velasquez for Aiden O'Brien. Morning line 7-2. Horses won 3 of 4 starts. Excuse me, 2 of 3 starts this year in Europe. Just recently won a Group 1 in France, the Prix Jacques Lemerroy, where he beat Notable Speech, who's come back to win since then. And this horse is 7-2. I'll bet him 7-2 all day long.
Hmm.
Expecting maybe more along the lines of 9-5, I think, for this horse, even though it is a really nice, full competitive field. But yeah, give me Diego Velasquez too. Maybe that'd be a good double blackout time into Diego Velasquez.
There you
Hmm.
go.
Yeah, don't hate that at all. I do think I mean, I don't think you're getting 7 to 2 on Diego Velasquez, but I think it might be all right. There's some sneaky ones in there, some horses that we have touted recently, and Quattrocento, Howard Wallowitz is always honest. Mercante, we have love for is 20 to 1 in there. I mean,
Wow.
there's no reason he can't come back with a bounce back performance. So, I mean, Brilliant Birdie's in there, who's solid as can be. So, I mean, you might be all right. Might be all right. We'll see. Chad Brown's got program trading in there too. So,
Yeah,
we'll
hard
see what kind of price we get on Diego Velasquez. But I like the thought process, 100%.
program trading off of a long layoff. Come back to run second.
Mm-hmm.
Bernard Baruch to Donegal Momentum. Should be a lot of speed in there. Should set up for the closers, I think. So good race, good racing all weekend. Torpedo Anna comes back on Sunday in the Spinster, and she will face the top or one of the top 3-year-old fillies in nitrogen. So fun race there. Get to see the 3-year-old fillies finally take on the older rivals. So we'll see what's going on in that division.
Absolutely.
Also, a ton of 2-year-old racing, a couple turf stakes races, big racing at Aqueduct, big racing at Santa Anita. This is a good day to sit on the couch and soak up the racing. With Keeneland opening on Friday, we had to go find one of our staples in Lexington, and Alan will do the honors, and he will present our next guest.
All right, the fact that it is now Keeneland fall meet time once again at Bluegrass means we have an excuse to bring back one of our favorite guests and a guy who, on our book, has went from being labeled an up-and-coming trainer to now the quintessential must-use trainer if you're a horse player around this circuit of any note. It's our old buddy Matthew Sims who returns to the pod. Matt, if I can call you Matt, I know I can. Welcome back, sir.
Oh, thank you so much. This is my third time, and I was hoping that my career would keep elevating, so y'all would keep calling, having me back.
Well, like I just said, you have elevated to must-use trainer, right? One more, you get in that next tier, right? So it's like silver, gold, platinum, blah, blah, blah. I think you're at gold status right now.
Okay, well, I'll take it. You know, we like gold cups around here.
That's true. Two quick notes to start off before we get really rolling into this thing. The last we talked, or maybe it was prior to that, you're a newly married man. I'm going to presume that that's still the case. And more importantly than anything else, how's that going?
Oh, it's going fantastic. I mean, she leans on, I can lean on her. She leans on me. And as anybody knows that's worked on the backside, especially when you're the trainer, the head coach, you really got to have that significant other there. And there's times this year I've really been down on myself and just trying to keep things going. She's believed in me, and I think I believe to be successful in this game continuously, you have to have somebody beside you, encouraging you, and when you're down in your moments, and that's when it's most important. When you're high, everybody wants to be with you, but when you're low, it's that one person that's always around, and she is my person. I can't speak any highly of her, but I have to have her there because that's what keeps me going. And there's days, and she's a horsewoman, she gets it, she does the 100 jump, but it's very similar aspects of things. And I couldn't at moments this year I was really down, but she was there to really pick me up and encourage me, and she's been a big part of our success.
Man, I tell you what, I hope she listens to this because that about made me tear up. So I hope she at least gets to hear this.
I'm sure she will listen to it once it gets posted.
That's awesome. I feel the same way about my wife, so I know exactly what you mean there, Matt. But I guess maybe even more importantly than what I just mentioned, something I have wondered about for a while, and I'm sure these guys have too. It seems suspicious to me, and that you and JD Vance have never been seen in the same room at the same time. Are you indeed his doppelganger? Are you the same person? What's going on? Have you ever noticed that you got a little resemblance to the vice president?
I have been that has come up in a couple of conversations, but I believe there's no family relationship there.
He's got Kentucky ties.
He does, and but I'm not, it doesn't, I don't think so. I don't know of any Vances that I'm related to. Vices, that's the closest last name, but not a Vance.
So I'm not the first person that said that, because I brought this up to Geoff and CC before we went on, and they said they could see it. So you've heard this before?
I have. I actually have.
I'd say the White House pays pretty good for doubles, for body doubles and stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah,
it's probably a dangerous job. Yeah. All right, let's get to Keeneland, brother. I know you're amped up for another Keeneland meet. You live near there. That's your home base. How many days a meet do you say you go out there as a fan, a horse player, even when you don't have horses running per se?
No horses racing. I'm at least there 4 days a week, I'd say.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's not including. So there's days I'm there 5 days a week, but I usually there every day. I try to go for a couple races, especially Wednesdays and Thursdays are my favorite days. Try to beat the crowd.
Yes.
I'll go Friday. I probably won't go Saturday this week, but I will be there Sunday. We have one in the first, and then I have a bunch of family coming for Sunday and stuff. So There's 2 days of the 3-day week, and then next week I'll definitely be there Wednesday and Thursday. I kind of call Wednesday Horseman's Day, so you go up there and get to see everybody, especially the ones purchasing and claiming horses and all that. So I'll definitely be there Wednesday and Thursday, and like I said, we'll see what we get in for next week. We have nothing yet, so yeah, there's 3 or 4 days there. I'll probably be there, definitely next week.
If you live in these parts, you know that the Wednesdays and the Thursdays are the days, maybe even Sunday a little bit, are the days to go anymore, right? You can
absolutely,
you can move around and stuff, so I don't blame you there. And actually, you could get there more often on Saturdays. These past couple of years, because our Kentucky football team that you and I both are pretty fond of are an unwatchable dumpster fire these days.
It's horrible. Horrible. I mean, it just that's a whole nother podcast right there about me football. Paige and I went to the Ole Miss game, and I said we're gonna go. We always go to the game. I said we're gonna go to this game. That way, if they're terrible the rest of the year, we didn't say, well, we're just gonna get it over with. And I thought there was some promise there, but then it's just completely falling apart. I mean,
I'm an optimist by trade, but there's nothing. There's just nothing and stuff. So
I played the game for 13 years, and I can't find any good. I mean, the running game I thought was decent enough, but we have an offense coordinator that can't stick to it.
So yeah. And it gets pretty deep here pretty soon, Georgia, Texas, and whatnot. Going to Keeneland sounds like a much better alternative. So at least here in Central Kentucky, we have that option, right?
Yep. Oh, thank God, because until basketball season starts October 24th, there's the last weekend of Keeneland, and we have nothing else to look forward to.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, you do have something to look forward to, or at least something to be proud of, because it seems like to me, these past few months for you have been really good. And before I get to this obligatory roundup of your nice horses and your memorable wins, I want to preface this by saying that one of your horses that has been really good to you, I'm going to say for Jeff Riggs, because there's a reason I'm going to save it for Jeff Riggs. We'll talk about that when he gets there. So I will default to a horse called Take Charge Omaha real quick, okay?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He just romped at Churchill this past Friday. Mm-hmm. Really good field he beat, and he did it very impressively. Mm-hmm. As I recall, this horse showed great promise, I want to say last year at Keeneland with a big romping 2-turn win. And I thought this horse had some promise to him, and then it didn't really quite pan out. But then I saw you claimed him, and then I knew you was going to get to the bottom of what the deal with the horse is or whatever, and then he'd show that potential, and he has. So what's been the key with Take Charge Omaha, and what's next for him? Because I think there's more wins and more money to be made off that horse.
Yeah, she broke her maiden at Keeneland in April for 50, and impressively, second time out, Eric Foster claimed her off Del Romans, and Eric had her, and she ran okay. She finished third or 3 lengths behind another filly of ours. I'm sure y'all bring up here in a little bit next up, and that was the key race that day. I know next up's a nice horse, and Wolfgang Kreisberg called me about. Well, I was scrolling through it, and he was wanting to claim a horse, and we had some money to spend. And anyway, she was in for 50 at Ellis, and I watched all of her replays, dug into it, and I'm like, this filly needs some blinkers. And I didn't like the ride she was getting. And I said, if you just put a experienced rider on her and put some blinkers on her, and I didn't know her personality at the time. I said, I think we could do something and get her back to 2 turns. She wants 2 turns. She has to have 2 turns. And she was always running 1 turns. And that day she was in that dog leg race at Ellis going a mile. And I told her, hopefully she gets beat today. And we're going to proceed on after that. So she got beat, I think 4 lengths, something like that, got her back, and she's a pissy thing, but in a good type of pissy way, and started just kind of digging into her and figuring out a little bit, and added just a little bit of blinker, and we tried her on the turf. She has her half sibling, I think he won a stake on the turf, and there's arch, on the bottom end and all that. So we wanted to try turf once. And I thought she ran okay.
She did. Good, third to a good field.
Yeah, in an allowance race. I know the winner came back with second the other day at Churchill. A good second. It was in a tough race, and so we did that. and it was okay, but I wasn't crazy about the way she was trying out. I said, well, she got enough talent where she was able to finish third in an allowance race. So, but I wasn't crazy about her movement, but she always breezes good in the dirt. And she never had really any good breezes, but man, when we had the blinkers, she was really putting in some good work. So I knew there's more to her. So Wolfgang and I, he's the head of Hard Knocks Racing, and we talked, and we didn't want to run her for a tag, and we said, well, let's go on that starter, going a mile and 16th. Let's try it at Churchill, and I was confident, and so anyway, sorry. So we went ahead, and she was coming off good work. We entered in it when overnight came out, and the PPs came out. I said, holy crap, this thing's tough.
We talked
about scratching, re-entered maybe for a tag at Keeneland, and he was very, let's try it. I'm like, the filly's doing good. Let's try it. So, and he, we all agreed on it, and if not, we'll come back to later in the Keeneland meet and run her for a tag. And Mario came out with a game plan. He said, I'm going to sit a little bit closer today, get her more involved, blah, 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 blah. I said, sounds great. Whatever you want to do. I mean, obviously he's a professional, so he knows what he's doing. And turning for home, and when she switched leads to right lead, I very few horses I've seen actually, you can see them accelerate like that. She came the last 8th home in 12 flat, I think the last quarter in 23 and 1. Like, very impressive type finish. And you just don't see that very often. So she surprised me too, on how well she ran, but she's a nice filly. The next goal is the 18th of October. We're going to give her a shot in an allowance race again on the dirt, going to mile 16th. She likes that track. She proved it when she broke her maiden by 6 that day. She's breezing good over it. It's at home, a little bit quick turnaround for me. I like to give them 4 or 5 weeks, but we're at home. She did that race pretty easy. So, we're going to give her a shot in the other day and see. Hopefully she can build off that, build a resume, go to November at Churchill, win that. And then there's a stake race at Oaklawn, restricted stake that she's eligible for. I know I'm playing ahead, but I'm one of those big people that let's look at the big picture and hope and dream, and it can work out. If not, reality is going to hit us in the forehead and we'll find a different path.
Well, I wish you the best, and you actually make me think of something as you're talking about claiming the horse. This claiming game in Kentucky is pretty tough, right? It's competitive, and I was just wondering. And you've done well with the claims when you've done it. I always take notice. What percentage of the time do you think when you put in a claim, do you think you actually get the horse?
Gosh, that's a good question.
Thank you. For once, after 200 episodes.
Yeah. That's a good question. I mean, maybe 30%.
Dude, that's actually pretty good, better, much higher than I thought.
Yeah, I think 30%. And here's the craziest claims. I'm going to name off 3 horses right now that have, in our barn, I'd say have brought over $500,000. And they were great claims. Hurry,
yes,
and Take Charge Omaha. 0 shakes.
Really?
Yep.
You're lucky I didn't have a bankroll when I was at the track with you, brother, because I'd have went after all 3 of those. I definitely would have went after a Take Charge Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's pretty fortuitous. I can't lie to you.
I don't think there was no shake for her. And I was shocked that day for 50. I'm like, oh, she's worth a shot, especially nowadays. She's already paid for herself in 2 starts. And it's all a gamble. You never know when you get them, but you take and hope that you can improve them. And sometimes you got to tear them down, build them back up, and do all the things. And she's pretty relevant. She's sound, and we didn't do really any vet work on her, or just keep her happy. And she likes she's like grouchy, but she likes a lot of attention. So that's all, Yeah. But yeah, between those 3 horses, there was no shake, and I was surprised.
I was at Keeneland I only went to Keeneland, I think maybe one time last year, but I was talking to Ethan West right after there was a $20,000 maiden claimer that Brad Cox won at even money, and it was a big drop.
Yeah.
And he said he's going to put in for it, and he told me, he's like, no, I didn't get the horse. There's 36 people put in for the horse. So it's like, I get it in that instance, right? Yeah. It's Brad Cox dropping 20, the horse won off by 7. But still, it surprised me that you got all those flying solo. That's amazing to me.
Well, yeah. Well, and I tried it. Those horses like that, it's all about the time of year you do too. It's Turf Parks where I got next up in Hurry.
Right.
those times at night, nobody wants to mess with it and claim who wants to claim a first time starter for 30 at 8 o'clock at night. Not going
True.
to. I was, I guess, crazy enough to do it. And then the other filly was at Ellis. Well, that's 2 hours from Churchill, 3 hours from Keeneland. Who wants to drive down there and do it and organize all that and everything else? Luckily enough, I have a good team, and we were able to get it done because it was kind of a last minute decision. But Keeneland and Churchill, I can't. I those are the places I get outshook. I can't really get much of. I can't even think the last horse I got claimed at Churchill. I claimed. I'm trying to think the horse. I got somebody at Keeneland, but yeah, okay, I've gotten a couple, but I think they were last year. So, but most of the time, that's where I can win shakes and get some decent claims, or those two places, because your competition's less. To try to win.
Sounds to me like you're giving away your secret sauce or whatever. Other people can start hearing you out and taking up on that.
I was a little hesitant when I started saying it,
And nobody listens to the thing anyway. You ain't got nothing to worry about. With that said, I'll let CC ask you some questions.
All right.
Hey, Matt. Everything's not coming up roses all the time, though. You did have some bad luck earlier in the year. Tell us about your horse that won the Perryville Stakes last fall. Brunacini had some bad luck, unfortunately.
Yeah, he in March was a trying month for our stable. And negative, and the negatives some of them end up being good things. We got a few horses claimed that were they weren't very talented, which was good, but it put us down on horses quite a bit. And we had a couple sustain some injuries, nothing life threatening, but Brunacini being one of them. And he got a little issue, and we looked at it, got a lot of a good veterinarian team to evaluate it. We just felt like he wasn't going to be able to come back and perform at 100%. So we decided, the best thing for him was to go ahead and retire him, and he could stand at stud. Last I heard, for him to stand at stud wasn't final where at, but so that was kind of what we did, and we tried to do right by the horse. You don't want to bring him back and him not to be able to perform at his best, because he was a very talented horse. I mean, he beat Bookham Dano, and Bookham Dano hasn't been defeated since he got defeated by Brunacini. So you got to respect his talent. He just unfortunately wasn't able to sustain his career as long as we hoped and wanted him to.
How's your dad doing? Haven't heard from him in the entry box in quite a while. I assume he's retired.
No, he's still kicking. Believe it or not, he's got a lot of 2-year-olds, and he's got some decent 2-year-olds. He has a Half Sisters to War campaign.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really doing well. Machado Breezer this morning. He's gonna run her at Keeneland. And he's gonna really, yeah, she might be worth a bet. 7/8, I believe it is. She's gonna run, and she'll be live in a very classy filly. She acts like she's 3 years old. Looks like a 3-year-old. So she's one that I'm excited for him. He's he's had a tough summer as well. He same way, kind of rebuild, regroup. You got to do every once in a while. Every sports team's got to do it on whatever team sport you're doing, and he's done that. And he's got some decent 2-year-olds. He really does. He's got a colt that looks like promising. He's got that filly and a couple others that are looking really, really nice. So I'm excited for him, see what him and his team can do. He, I mean, she could be the real deal, but looking at her family, she should be able to do something. So I'm hoping he has a good winter and hopefully a great spring with her.
Do you know the name of the horse right off the top of your head? The Half to War campaign?
It is flashy. Is it Freedom? Hang on, I'll tell you in a second.
Flashy Freedom.
I think, she worked today. I got her list. I know. I'm trying to keep up with his horses. Flash of Freedom, maybe Flash of Freedom. That's what it is. Yep, she worked in a minute 3 this morning. Yep, 5 8. So
all right, well, mark that down. So, favorite Keeneland concession.
Concession. I like the bourbon bar paddock.
Say that again.
The bourbon bar by the paddock. That's where I like to hang out at because I can go either place and I can get burgoo or chili or a beef frank, or I can get a corned beef sandwich, and I got the bar right in the center. So that whole area.
Which item do you prefer?
I prefer, actually, of all of them, I prefer the barbecue. Is it the barbecue chicken sandwich they have? Pulled
chicken?
Yeah. That's what it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Try that.
That's the best value. Keeneland's so expensive, and poor guy like me got to start looking. That's the best value, bang for the buck.
Okay. So, I'm a corned beef guy. That's one, and 1A is the bread pudding, but it's very rich.
It is. Well, the bread pudding's been a little scarce. You only get it a few places now. I remember when they had the bluegrass room, the actual original bluegrass room. I used to go up there a lot and get the bread pudding. Yeah, now it's trying to hard to kind of find. But yeah, corned beef's good. I bounce around. I'm there so much I bounce around. You get it all. So that's what I usually do. I just don't hit the popcorn stand. So
all right. Speaking of food, this popped in my head earlier today. I'm just going to go ask you, what do you feed your horses specifically? Like, okay. And the reason I bring this up, I remember a trainer a long time ago. He was a young guy, and he was at Keeneland. This is forever ago, and he told me he showed me what he fed his horses. He said, "This is only half of what I can afford, and there's a whole lot more that I want to feed." I was just curious, what do you feed your horses breakfast and afternoon?
Okay, I feed Race 13 from Hallway. I believe
what is that?
It's sweet feed. Complete feed. It's got everything, multivitamins, all that in it. It's got a huge list of things, and top horses are fed it. To me, it's one of the best feeds you can feed. And I do feed a lot of vitamin E and selenium. Red Glow. I restore electrolytes. It's a brand. I believe in a lot of good electrolytes, even in the wintertime, because horses aren't drinking as much. They need more. Actually, I feel like more electrolytes in the winter than they do the summer. But that feed's got a lot in it. They get us two quarts in the morning, about 4:30, and then they get then we give them 8 quarts for lunch, and then they get 10 quarts for dinner. And it varies on the horse. Some of them get a little more, but that's the minimum. Bigger horses like Hurries, big old horse, and Copper Missiles, big horse, they get more. And then I also feed a lot of Macaulay rice bran oil. I like that. That's good for sustaining their stomachs, weight, great for weight. You get a finicky filly. They like it. It'll sustain their weight, and they don't have to eat as much grain. That's a big thing. You can always feed them more grain, but they're not going to eat it. So I supplement with some Macaulay's oil. That's good. In the wintertime, we'll switch or add a beet pulp mash to it. That helps. They get the water in it and for weight. So that's pretty the basics. We'll do some joint supplements and stuff if needed, but I try to keep it as simple that I can. I don't want to overdo it. Like I said, the feed has a lot in it, and you can't simply overdo it. But your main thing is to feed a good, consistent feed. And with Hallway being in Lexington, and you can get it worldwide, I switched to them back in the spring, and I've been very, very happy with it.
Now, that sounds rather complex. Is that something that's commonplace among all trainers, or do you think you have an edge by feeding the way you do?
I feel like I feed similar to a lot of people. I don't know if, I try to feed the high end of, like I said, the electrolytes, the vitamins. When I get a joint supplement, I do the research and see what people say about it, if it actually worked or not. I don't want to put. I'd rather spend $30 more to get something that I believe that works. And I don't know. You talk to some assistants, and they're like, "Guy wins a lot of races. Oh, we just feed them. We don't put anything in the feed because the feed's complete, and they just get fed." I'm like, okay. I mean, hey, it works for the guy, and not saying, but the feed is complete. It's supposed to have everything in it, and they feed race 13 as well. You hear some guys. I know one trainer, and his assistant was telling me they feed one brand of feed at breakfast, another brand a feed at lunch. They feed another, or sorry, they're all the same brand, but different mixes. Another brand or mix at dinner. Then they feed another mix at 8 o'clock. Now that's complicating. And then they do all their supplements. I'm like, wow. Now that is to me a little extreme. I like feeding the one consistent feed, but then add what I can at lunch and then dinner. And it seems like it's working well. I can't complain. Horses are running well. But it's also been 3 generations worth of what works and what doesn't work, because you can very easily overfeed stuff, and then horses don't eat. Well, they're not going to compete at their best on an empty stomach, because they're not wanting to eat, and then their coat gets bad and they're not getting all the nutrition they need. So yeah, some things work for other people, some things don't. I like to keep it relatively simple, and what works. And right now what we're doing is working.
You ever pour beer in the feed tub?
Yep, I have. Oh yeah. Oh,
what's that good for?
It's good for the guts. All that yeast in the system, bruised yeast. If you go Phillies like it a lot. A nervous type colt, it's good for them too. Now you can get it in a powder. The problem with keeping the beer around, my help tends to get into it. So we got to make sure the horses get it. So now you can get it in a powder form, which is a lot handier. Every once in a while you get one that needs it. You try to you'll add it, but like I said, there's powders out there now that you can do that I prefer. Like I said, the help, you keep a 12-pack of beer for a horse, next thing 2 days later, like, we're having all the beer, so yeah.
Got CC sneaking around the barn.
Yeah. There you go.
What's the best kind? Like Guinness? Is it the real dark beer?
Yeah, I mean, Guinness is good. It's good for, also non-sweaters. Guinness is really good for that. I've done Guinness. I've done a lighter beer. I've done Coors, just because it's kind of a heavy beer. Coors Banquet. Don't do Coors Light. Coors, and those two. I've done Guinness a few times. But I have really good luck with Coors, believe it or not. I don't know why. Maybe it's not as like a bitter taste sometimes what Guinness can be. So yeah, Coors was the one I really had a lot of luck with.
Okay. Are you on Rice Road, or are you at the main?
I'm on Rice Road. Yeah, Rice Road. Yeah, I'll stay there year round. Which is nice. Very blessed to have that opportunity to be down there, and hopefully they don't kick me out ever. I pay my bills. So they keep us down there.
You use the main track, or you use the synthetic track?
A little bit of both. It just kind of depends. Yeah. You got some horses that the training track is beneficial for the synthetic, especially now with turf league coming up. You kind of figure out who likes synthetic, who doesn't. I got a horse in from Del Mar, Isle Rye, kind of gearing him up for turf. Well, he might make a run at Keeneland. He's a good 3 other than horse. And he seems to handle the synthetic well, but by Malibu Moon out of the Yankee Gentleman mare, he should. He's never run over it, but he's been running really consistently good over the turf in California. So yeah, it's good. Just trying to use both. Depends on what type of day it is, weather-wise too. But the main track Keeneland's always so good. I try to use the benefits of using the main track.
Perfect. Okay. Hey, Geoff, take it away.
All right. Well, welcome back, Matt. First of all, happy late birthday. I think it's what, Sunday or Monday?
No, mine was in August.
In August, really? Oh my gosh. Did I wish you happy birthday on Facebook the wrong time? I feel like I just wish you happy birthday.
No, just flying by.
There's a lot of Sims. There's a lot of Sims. It might have been the wrong
There's
Sims.
a lot of Sims. Yeah, man. A lot of Sims. Unbelievable. Well, happy half birthday or whatever it is now. I'm still going to use it because I'm going into my favorite day of the year so far was July 26th, 2025. And that was the day that Next Up won at 11-1 at Ellis Park. And I was on air with Joe Christofek that day.
Uh-huh.
And I hit the turf pick 3 that day. So personally, it was my favorite day of the year. And just that was a big win for Next Up. And I remember the thing that we talked about going into that race about Next Up was, she wasn't necessarily getting played because the turf was a little bit of a question mark, but broke her maiden impressively on synthetic. And my one note I remember in my past performances that day was, I just think she's a really nice filly. Just tell us a little bit about Next Up and how she's been in the barn.
Yeah, she's classy. I mean, she'll do anything. She's shown in her races. She's never run a bad race, and I finally got a little consistency with surface and distance. And she steps up every time, and she stepped up on dirt. She stepped up with class. Everything she's run against, she's thrown at it. She's not much to look at. She's a little filly. We claimed her. I'm glad I didn't look at her before I claimed her because I was probably. But she's put together well. She's a typical accelerate. Big head, kind of put good shoulder, good rear end, good legs, big bone. But she's kind of like they would say old school racehorse. Not pretty, not flashy, but just a runner. And that's her. And she loves to race. And I'm blessed to have her. We were going through a bad time, like I said, in March when we claimed her. I was down to a handful of horses, and I was scratching, struggling to survive. And I was doing what I could, and thank God for the clients I have, like Steve Robbins, that believes in me. And I told him, I said, if you're going to claim her, I'll find somebody, or I'll have to go to the bank and borrow the money. But she's going to be in my barn. And the only reason I looked at her workouts weren't impressive at all. She had no good workouts, but her pedigree was there. I said, if anything else fails, I can run her for 30 on the dirt because I knew accelerates like the dirt, but the looking at Lucky parts there too on his end. And I was like, we had to. I was like, I can run along on the turf because dirt. She wants to go long, and I just took a gamble that day, and thank God Steve stepped up and took her and kind of said, if all else fails, she's out of pinch hit. Pinch hit's a great mare herself. I thought, well, we at least sell her if all else fails. You always gotta have a backup plan if things don't work out when you claim one. And I was sick as a dog and hooked up the trailer and drove up there and dropped the claim for her. And she's just been a blessing. And her, she ran a good 30 the other day. A little traffic trouble, a little trouble going around the turn and 3/8 pole. Mario kind of beat himself up about it, but we're going to regroup. She got caught behind horses coming down the lane, and she's going to excel. I believe she's going to run the Valley View hopefully next. Going back a mile. We're going to try to repeat what she did on the 26th. I think a mile and 16th, a little too far for her. But like I said, July 26th, when she ran that first time on the turf, that was impressive. You don't see that many fillies or horses, in general, take to the turf like that in their first try. Usually they, all right, get right. Trip, come back and second start over it. They'll do it. She did it and did it like she done it 100 times. And that's her though. You could throw a Western saddle on her and pony 3 races before she ran, she'll figure it out. Like she's just that classy. Nothing's
she's a racehorse. Yeah.
She's just pure that's exactly. She's just a pure racehorse. No bad habits. She likes her way. She wants to do her thing. She likes to graze. She wants to do all that. Get her peppermints, but she is she's just pure class racehorse. And she came in our barn at the right time when we needed somebody or a horse to rally behind, and the crew really she stepped up to that. And even her first time on dirt, a lot of people were kind of watching her because she ran so impressively first time out. I was like, I don't know. We're on the dirt today against older mares. I didn't know what to expect. She'd been doing okay, and she ran a okay second. But then when she come back and ran that stretch up to a mile in that other race and on a speed bias Churchill track and really showed what she could do and got beat, I think, half a length that day at Churchill on the dirt. I was like, okay, now she's really showing me that she can really do something. And then she came back and then won that allowance race. I'm like, okay, now what's our plan going forward? And I had looked forward. I said, the Valley View, that's our goal. But we had to get stake earnings. And that's why we ran in that stake, the Turfway or the Ellis Park Turf Stakes. And it wasn't of a group, but I said, we'll get stake earnings today. We got to be first or second to get enough, hopefully, to get in the Valley View. And we could have gone to Kentucky Downs. And she obviously shows that she probably could have gone down there and ran well, but traffic troubles, all that. I'm like, let's just go. Let's keep it easy. Let's keep things simple because we have a bigger picture, a bigger goal. And that's our plan is to go. That's why I scratched out the Seneca. She probably could hit the board in Seneca a couple weeks ago, but I scratched her there because that allowance race went. I said, let's keep her on the turf. I didn't want to go turf, dirt, back to turf. I want to keep it all, just keep this rhythm going because she can run on of it all, and then she'll get a break out this next race. I won't run her back on the dirt unless it's at Oaklawn, but more likely she'll campaign at Turfway this winter.
That's great. Yeah. And it's cool seeing the vision come together, how, you have that long-term plan and your path to get there. So that's very interesting to hear, and just a cool perspective that a lot of people don't normally get. You were talking about it a little bit before, and Alan alluded to it with Take Charge Omaha, but I think you're kind of selling yourself short a little bit on the talking about how you just kind of give things a try. I always give you an extra look when your horse is making some kind of change in the race. Like if it's a surface change, equipment change, distance change. What's your thought process there? And do you feel like that is a strength of yours, identifying what a horse like really wants to do?
Yeah, I believe so. It's reading the horse. I dig into the pedigree a lot. Maybe more than what some people do. And that's when I kind of start setting up a plan before we even drop a claim. Even though I know it's be a 50-way shake, I don't try to come up with a plan after I drop. I try to come up with a plan before. And pedigree a lot. And you take Copper Missile, for instance. That horse showed he could go 1.5 miles or more on paper. Once raced at Kentucky Downs, but on his pedigree. But he's a winner on dirt at Keeneland. His one trial on dirt was at the day I claimed him for 30 at Churchill, which ended up being a good group of horses. And why would you run him on dirt? He's running so great on turf. He ran good on synthetic when you tried him. He's by Copper Bullet. Copper Bullet was a good dirt horse. And you dig through his pedigree, he has that. Now, he has on his mare end, he can run on turf, he can run on dirt, he can run on synthetics. And you got to try it. And we did. And his second start over dirt, he was at Vassell. He loves 1.5 miles. I can't wait to get him going back 1.5 miles. We had to give him some time off. And he's doing well. But he's, for instance, kind of what we do. I tear down from, I change blinker sizes on horses. I'll take their tongue. Some horses, believe the simplest thing I've done to some of them is just take their tongue tie off.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like he was a Copper Missiles one, for instance. I did that. Took tongue tie off. Had a horse, Bright Leaf, that won impressively. I think second. He had a second, then come back and won the second start for me. We didn't claim him, but he had kind of had a rough winter, and we got him in. And literally, that horse was pretty simple. I just backed off his training, just got him happy, turned him into. I said he's a sprinter, and he'd been running 2 turns, and he come back. He was second in his first try at Churchill, and he was just Gold Class horse. And then we ran him back again. I think a little bit shorter the race was. It was fine. And he come flying from the clouds. And I just jogged him and I never breezed him. Jogged him and galloped him. Galloped him. And he come back, and I think he won by 5 the second start for us. And come back at Ellis and ran a really good race. And then just at that point, Brent Malmstrom owned him, and he was like, he's just an older horse, and so let's just go ahead and retire him. He'd done well, and he was ecstatic with the way he'd run his last 3 starts for us, and now he's a good riding horse for a good family. But those 2 horses, for instance, next up, I didn't change a whole lot with her. Hers was, I just knew she needed to go long, and being first time out, you don't really get a read on them race wise. You're just looking at their pedigree. I knew if she could do it. Take Charge Omaha, I claimed her though because I knew I needed to get her back 2 turns. So she was one that needed 2 turns, and 2 turns preferably on dirt. But we tried the turf because it was there, and there's some turf in the pedigree. I'm not saying we won't, but she can do. Also, I believe her first start was over synthetic, and it was good enough that this winter she could do that. Or if it doesn't work out, she can campaign at Oaklawn this winter. So there's a lot of the pedigree, and I dig on things because some of my owners that definitely do the claiming game, they don't have a whole lot of money. They're like, oh yeah, we just blew 50,000. They got to have a backup plan. They get this horse that doesn't work out. So we need pedigree there. We need to, how many options do we have? How many conditions do we have left? What can we do? We go back to Copper Missile. I know it sounds wild and you're a dreamer and all that, but we also actually had a plan for him to run over at Far Hill in October as a prep for the Claiming Crown, going 2 miles because he's eligible for the Claiming Crown. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it. But there's that vision that we can do these different things to achieve and make money and get these horses, and it's building their confidence. A lot of times you claim a horse, they've been beat so many times in a race, we got to build their confidence up. So we spend the mornings working them in company where they're not out working horses, but they're finishing strong and in company. And that's a big one too, because their heart, sometimes they just lose their heart because they've been either mismanaged or put over their heads and then finally stopped. Okay, we can claim this horse for 20, but we got to rebuild him mentally. And you just have to do those things because we can still make money with the horse, and you see they can do it, but we got to build them back up. So there's a lot of different ways into it, and you got to read into it. And I think that's part of our stable. We're small, so we're able to be hands-on and read it and communicate and do those things instead of just being a turnover stable where you claim one for 30 and run it back for 20 or 40, and you just keep the wheels turning. That's great, but we try to elevate their horse and get the best out of them. That's why you see a lot of these horses going and winning starter allowances and winning allowance races, and not just claiming for 30 and running at Indiana or Belterra. They're actually winning those allowance races in Kentucky.
Right. With those big purses that we have in Kentucky too. That's nice. Yeah. So you're now in your 3rd year training out on your own, I believe. I think last time we talked to you, you were only in your first. I think it's 2023. What have you learned over these past 3 years that have made you a better trainer today?
A lot of it's patience. And I've always preached about patience, but I never really knew about patience. I had to. Don't sweat the small stuff. When you make mistakes, it's just the racing gods making decisions for you. When mistakes are made, just let it ride. You can correct it. I made a mistake recently on something, and it actually ended up being a good thing, I believe. So don't beat yourself up every day. There's always going to be a new day. Take it moment by moment when you're training in the mornings. Horse, when they run a really hard race, you got the farm music, give them a week or 2 off, let them recoup. If you're going to try to run one back quick, you don't always need a breeze. Keep your horse happy, keep it healthy, keep your team alive, keep them going. As in the personnel, if you can keep them happy, they'll relate to the horses. What else? I know there's some other things to do, if you can keep your horses trying, you're going to win some races. That's the biggest thing. I don't think we have too many horses that run a bad race. I know of one this year. I think the rest of them, even if they run 4th or 5th, they've all run very respectable races.
Exactly.
So that's a big.
From our perspective as handicappers, they always outrun their odds too, which we appreciate.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the whole goal. And not that we're trying to put our horses in over their heads, but we're willing to take a shot. But we're trying to
run them where they fit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you don't. I think on the year we're 54% in the money. Well, you throw us in a trifecta at 20-1, you got a shot. For it to come in. I think we're 18% win, which in Kentucky, that's pretty strong.
Very, very strong. Yeah.
Blessed. I'm blessed to have that. Hopefully we can sustain that to do that. I mean, it's so strong. to have those numbers, and you can present it to new clients and your
right.
clients, and as you all as handicappers, I know y'all kind of keep eye on that to see like, hey, I can take a shot on 21 shot because I know this guy, he didn't just show up. He's here to try to win this damn thing.
There for a reason.
Yeah,
exactly.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 100% agree. All right, Alan, I'll kick it back over to you to finish things up with Matt.
All right, last question, brother. Last question. All right, before we let you go. When CC posts this tomorrow, because he's our technical genius, he's a madman with this stuff. Do you want him to put a picture of you up, or would you like to have him put that JD Vance gif up where he's got that smirk like yeah? Which one do you want?
Let's put my picture up.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe next time. The next time we're on, we'll maybe consider that, okay? Because you're going to win a bunch of races and stuff. We'll have you back on and such.
Yeah, absolutely. No, or maybe next time I have a picture of me and JD Vance.
Well, who'd be who? It'd be like the Spider-Man.
We'll have to wear the same suit,
Yes, it'd be awesome. Maybe after the Valley View. Maybe after you take down the Valley View with Next Up or whatever, we'll bring you right back. What the hell? We'll call an audible and shit. All right?
That would be awesome. You have a little filly that get claimed at Turfway Park for 30. Go beat these Godolphin $1 million horses in a great stake at Keeneland. Wouldn't that's the type of story though that racing needs. And I'm not going to pat myself on the back of my teams because they do a great job, but that's what the rags to riches stories. And
I mean, that's what Rich Strike did. Got claimed for 30 at Churchill. Runs a Turfway.
Yeah,
with the Kentucky Derby. So
and that's what keeps people going. That is to live that dream, and that's great for the public. To see that and. I'm sure hopefully she gets in. I believe she has enough stake earnings, but I'm sure she'll be the only horse in the race too that got claimed.
That's true.
Price.
Even better. I tell you what, if you go out there, because I plan on going like on a Thursday-ish type of day where I may go on a weekend. We'll see. But if you're out there on a Thursday, I'm going to come by that Bourbon because I hang out in that area sometimes too when I'm down there. So I'll be looking for you. And like
Absolutely.
I said, you'll be the guy with all the Secret Service around him and stuff, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, Matt. Thank you for joining us. Congrats on the recent success, the sustained success, and the future success. Okay, pal?
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right. That was Matthew Sims making his third appearance on the Auxiliary Gate. Always glad to hear from him. And great guy. Great guy indeed. So, Forever Young returned to the winner's circle this morning. I think this race was called the Nippon TV High. And I forgot which racetrack it was at. Forever Young coming off a layoff, prepping for the Breeders' Cup Classic. He's now a 4-year-old, earnings of over $16 million. This Breeders' Cup Classic is really coming together. I may pose this question every single week. I think the answer might get tougher. You got a couple horses we're throwing into the mix now. Bob Baffert has an up and comer. See if I can find his name here. I've already lost it. I'm looking for Matt Sims' horse.
While you're looking for that, I'll say that Forever Young, impressively winning this morning just makes that race even more intriguing than it already was. Last episode when we talked about the Breeders' Cup Classic, we mentioned him as an intriguing contender, but I think it moves him up my rankings a little bit, coming with that prep.
Yeah. Nevada Beach won the Goodwood, and it's just his fourth start. This is a 3-year-old by Omaha Beach, trained by Baffert, and he ran down the winner of the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile last year, Full Serrano. He was like 1-5, 2-5, and Nevada Beach ran him down. So this might be an up and comer for Baffert. And so I'll pose the question again: if you're given the 3 top 3-year-olds, Sovereignty and Journalism and Baeza versus everybody else. Now we're tossing in Fierceness, Sierra Leone, and Forever Young now, Nevada Beach. Who you got?
I'm still everyone else.
I'm taking the field.
Agreed.
I'm taking the field.
Yep, maybe even slightly more so than I was last week because I was kind of hyping up Sovereignty last week, and I still am. If I had
Yeah.
a pick for the Breeders' Cup Classic, it's still Sovereignty. But yeah, in this situation, the field is the way I go.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on this. I'm kind of jacked, to be honest with you. It's
Me
just over a
too.
month away. Yeah, that should be a fun race to look forward to. So, but got a lot of stuff to cover between now and then. Got a lot of Keeneland we got to get through. So, and a lot of college football, I assume. So, anyway,
Mhm.
and of course the Reds in Game 2 of their playoff series, they're up 2-0 right now. So maybe we can pull off a miracle.
It's going to take a
Yeah,
miracle to win 2 in a row in LA, isn't it? But it was a miracle for them to get in.
It was a
Uh,
miracle that they scored last night. I don't think they'd scored in a playoff series since like 2008.
I can't tell you how many social media posts I saw last night when the Reds scored the first run last night. It was great. But hey, I like seeing the excitement from a fan base that has been beaten down for many, many years. So congratulations, Reds fans, that you've made it.
Boy, it'd be nice to get the Bengals and the Reds going at the same time.
Man, it sure would, wouldn't it? I don't know if
A lot
that's
to ask.
happening.
That's a lot to ask.
Bengals are a lost cause. For those who don't know, Caitlin was pulling like quadruple duty up at Churchill the other day because everybody knows she's a big Reds fan, Caitlin Free. And while she was doing the on air, she was hosting the on air thing, and in between dead time on air, she was flipping back and forth from the Marlins game to the Reds game, going on air and talk. It was actually some pretty impressive dancing, but it all worked out because the Reds backed their way in, and hopefully they can get a win tonight.
All right. I don't believe in fairy tales anymore, but maybe we can watch one in real time. All right, that's it. Thanks to our special guest Matthew Sims, Alan Schneider, Geoff Riggs was here, and a cast of thousands. I'm CC Broaddus reminding you that gambling money ain't got no home. Good night.